So, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome founder and president of Bearfish Sports Marketing, Roger Duthie. So, welcome, Roger.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
So, Roger, I'd like to congratulate you on all your achievements. Um, could you please share with us how your entrepreneurial journey started?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was with Emirates Airline. I ran the global sponsorship program for Emirates Airline for close to 19 years. And around 2019, early on, I decided I was going to make a move. And I wasn't sure what part of the year we were going to make the move, but in the end, it was October 31st was my last day at Emirates. And then I decided to
Wow.
take the leap of faith. I immediately, from that, the next morning, I flew to Thailand to golf for about 5 days with some mates, and then I rolled my sleeves up and we got on with Bearfish Sports Marketing. And then a little thing called COVID hit us, and I thought, what in the heck have I just done?
Yeah.
But you know what? Doing being an entrepreneur during that time was okay for consultants like me because companies were culling staff and getting rid of staff, and they would hire individual consultants. So, uh, unfortunately or fortunately, COVID was a successful time for my business, and it launched me on to where we are today. So, some
That's
upside
amazing.
was, yeah, I got lucky. I got very lucky, and unfortunately, a lot of people didn't, and that's what's very sad about that time. But
Yes.
from a selfish perspective, we did okay during COVID.
Well, that's great. So, as a branding and marketing, um, or as branding and marketing are such an integral part of our business, can you please share with us how you came up with the name Bearfish? Because it's obviously a great story that you've shared with me, but it'd be great to share with the audience and what the significance of the name or why you chose that.
Yeah, happy to. Contrary to what people think, I am a Canadian, but I'm not a hunter or a fisherman or any of that sort of thing. So that's what people originally think what Bearfish stands for. But when I decided to make the move from Emirates, I did not want to call the company after my name, Roger Duthie Consulting. I
Yeah,
really I really wanted to stand on my own 2 feet and really make my business um, through myself, not just because I was the Emirates guy. So I wanted to name the business after my children, and my children's names are Oliver and Isabella, and nothing jived. I was working on names, and nothing worked. And then I realized, I just remembered, my wife always calls my children silly nicknames, and she calls Oliver Ollie Bear for no reason at all. And she always calls Isabella Izzy Fish. So I thought, Bear Fish. So Bear Fish Sports Marketing is actually an homage and a tribute to my children.
that's amazing. So you've had such an exceptional career, and you're recognized globally as a leader in sports sponsorship, and branding strategy with over 30 years of experience. So can you share with us how you achieved this, and how did you get into such a highly competitive industry?
Uh, yeah, I started my career in the Bahamas. I finished graduate school at the University of Texas. In fact, I went from the university. I grew up in Toronto, went to the University of British Columbia, did a grad school, University of Texas, and I always had a desire to travel. And an opportunity came up in the Bahamas, of all places. So being young and dumb,
Amazing.
and well, yeah, so I moved to the Bahamas, as you do, to start my sports marketing career. And at that time, I was sort of working on small events in the Bahamas, selling sponsorships, not really knowing what I was doing, but it was an exciting time. And then I met my wife there, and we were there for a few years together. She was a teacher, and then we decided to move to Dubai because we saw a show that 60 Minutes, which is one of the 60 Minutes TV show. They have it
Yes,
all over
yes.
the world. So they had done a piece on Dubai in 1998, 1997, and we saw this. I thought this is interesting. Looks like a really up and coming place. Let's give it a go. Um,
Amazing.
she got a job as a teacher, and I got a job in a PR firm. And then we took the leap, and we were scared to death, but we gave it a go. And then the owner of that PR company is actually an executive for Emirates Airline, and I did a year or two at the PR company. So why don't you come and join me at Emirates, and we'll take it from there. So I joined, and in 1990 2000, and from there we just never looked back. It was going to be a couple years we were going to save for maybe 2 more years, but Dubai is such a vibrant place. We hit it at the right time when it was really moving upwards, and
Yes.
the company was investing in promotion and sponsorship and marketing strategies, and I really got in there at the right time, and I've loved it. I really enjoyed my career at Emirates.
That's amazing. So obviously touching on, the Emirates part of your career, um, I mean, how did you, because obviously that's a challenging role and it's obviously a big responsibility. So, I mean, in terms of actually landing the job, or was that because you'd been introduced or somebody that you knew, or like, I mean, obviously you're good at what you do, but I'm just curious like how that all worked out, because it's not, I'm sure it's not an easy role to get.
No, it was a very competitive role in the end, and we created this new department, sponsorship department. It wasn't really the initial idea of the it came under corporate communications, and the company started the sponsors role. So we had internal and external applications, and I went through a very rigorous program and interview process, even though I was with the company for a few years, and then I was fortunate enough to get the job. And then from there, my boss and the team, we had built out the sponsorship department over the years and managed the team and the hires and the strategy and the properties we were going after. And we always had a step in the future. It was always sort of a 5-year plan on what we wanted to do, depending on the routes that Emirates was flying to and what sort of direction we were going with our sponsorship strategy. And I was really fortunate to be at the very ground level of that department in the early days.
Yeah, so how did you transform the brand into a global powerhouse that it is today? Just sort of, I don't know if you can share anything about that, but
I mean, first of all, it wasn't one department or one person. The beauty of what Emirates does, and a lot of companies, it's a holistic approach, right? So
yes,
we had not just sponsorships, but our entire communication strategy and marketing strategy was from a 360 point of view. So not only would we start off with a sponsorship, but we'd look at how can this sponsorship work with, it's either internal comms or back then it wasn't a lot of digital, but as we progressed throughout the years, it was more digital and marketing strategies, and how does this one partnership really help define and build the brand? And each property we looked at how that property transformed into the funnel, whether it was top of the funnel or middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel. We use that property to help communicate and tell our story as a brand.
yes,
And we just getting better at that. And the more properties that we procured and used as our communications platform, the better we were. Over the years, we went from really top of the funnel to communicating with fans and potential passengers. And that's why we were so successful, is because we realized, okay, we've got to talk to these passengers and get
yes.
not just fans of Arsenal or fans of whatever team we're involved with, but we try to turn them into fans of Emirates.
Oh,
And we
absolutely.
yeah, and that was the goal. And over the years, we were very successful through our using sponsorships as a communications platform, and that's how we did it, and it worked out wonderfully. And to this day, Emirates has continued to do this, and they're still a global powerhouse, and they're
Yes.
one strong brand everywhere.
For sure. So I want to move on to talking about leadership or a lack of leadership from both entrepreneurial business and global perspective. So what do you believe needs to be done to change the current narrative in terms of leadership on all fronts? And that's
But
probably a very broad question, but
yeah, that's an interesting question. I guess the reality is and I've seen this. I've seen good leaders and poor leaders at the corporate level, at the entrepreneurial level. From
yes,
my point of view, good leaders, they listen, they're honest, they trust their team, they work with their team, they take advice and guidance from their team. A good leader should never tell somebody to do something unless they would do it themselves. I truly believe that. And leading by example, as though it's cliched, but it's the truth. And I
yes,
try to do, I've always tried to do that. And I see even poor leaders these days are bullies. There's a lot of, and I can't name names,
yes,
but bullying. There's still a lot of corporate bullying going on, and you
yeah,
see that. and the interactions I have with people, they're afraid of their leaders, they're afraid of their bosses, and
Mm.
that's not how you get good work out of people. I've
No.
always I've always felt that a friendly, calm voice goes a lot further than a stern. Sometimes you have to be stern, of course you do,
Yes.
but be open, honest, and have a friendlier voice, your staff will want to work for you because they respect you and they respect what you're doing because you're leading by example. The
Yes.
corporate these people are afraid of them. They're afraid to give their opinion. They're afraid to say maybe we should look at it this way rather than your way, and they're afraid to do that because they'll lose their job, right? And that's corporate bullying at its worst. And
Mm.
unfortunately, I've seen that. So I guess to answer your question directly, more honesty, listening to staff, listening to team members, taking the advice and guidance of them, not being afraid as a leader to say, okay, thank you, Karen. I understand that. That's a good direction to go in because I respect your opinion because you're in that position, because I've hired you, because you're a smart person and you know what you're doing. So thank you. Rather
Yes.
than, I don't think that's the way to go. We're doing it my way. And the latter, in my view, is wrong. And people need to listen and be open and honest as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you believe that having gone through the corporate experience yourself gave you the opportunity to really hone your leadership skills? And what do you believe makes your leadership skills or style better in today's world than your competitors? If if you can answer that, I don't know, but yeah.
But I know that's another fun question. I don't know if my leadership style gives me an advantage. I hope it does. I will say this though, going back to my original point, I'm open and honest with not only my staff but my clients and people I'm speaking to. I've always felt that, we're a small boutique agency, and I try to hone my business because of my experience. And if I'm speaking to a potential client, what they're going to get is me. I'm not going to give them my business and then pass them on to a junior staff. And that's
Mm.
how I kind of operate my business. I want
Yeah,
to
so
be,
you're very hands-on.
I'm very hands-on and I feel I need to be hands-on. I want to be hands-on because that's why I got into this business. I'm not going to do something and then just pass it over to somebody. Sure, I
No.
get support and help, but I'm also showing my team, if I can do this, you can do this for your clients as well. And that's really important to me. Does that give me an advantage? I don't know. But I get hired because of my experience and who I am and my business background. And so far so good. I hope the success continues.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, Roger, why did you reach the decision to start your own business? I know you touched on it a bit earlier, but and leave such a powerful and secure position, to take the leap of faith to start Bearfish Marketing. I mean, was there a point that you just felt you wanted to do your own thing, or I don't know if you can give us any insight.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of insight. I guess people in my position, really want to. A lot of people want to start their own business, and it is scary.
Mm.
But at some point, a few years ago, even before I left, I thought, how good would this be to do this for myself, to be my own boss, to be able to hire people and lead those team members into the way I feel should be done. And how can I help other brands? I mean, honestly, the deals that I created and worked on for Emirates over many, many, many years um, really gives me that advantage because I know what things cost and I know how to negotiate. I know how to
Yes.
negotiate from the point of view and I know how to negotiate from the rights holder's point of view. I'm one of the very few people in our industry who knows both sides of the coin, right? So people
Yes.
hire me and they say, well, what is this worth? Or how would you approach this? Or what questions would you ask? And that's how I guide brands and that's how I work with them. So I felt I wanted to do that. I learned so much from Emirates Airline. It was really a wonderful, wonderful experience. I love the company. I still love the company today. They're
Mm.
great people. It did teach me that, you know what, I can do this for other brands on my own and hopefully be successful. And it's a lot of fun. It's scary, but it's a lot of fun being your own boss. But you
Yes,
have to,
absolutely. And you can also control your own time, I suppose, or manage your own time as well.
I think the most important thing is managing your own time. I mean,
Mm.
like you can sit around and waste time, or as I said, what I try to do is I get up and I cycle every morning because not only does that gets me to bed early, but it gets me up early. So I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm on the bike by 6 a.m. And I've exercised and I've had coffee chats with my mates, and then I'm in the office by 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. But I do that every day.
Yes.
And that discipline helps me with my daily routine. You have to have a routine if you're an entrepreneur and you're on your own. Otherwise, your days can just get lost, and there's no daytime TV. I don't watch any TV during the day. That's when
No.
things can get lost. I just try to watch my sports either late at night or super early in the morning, but that's about it.
Amazing. So, can you share with us more about Bearfish marketing, and what would you say differentiates you from others within the industry? For those people that don't really know what Bearfish marketing does.
So we have Barefish Sports Marketing, which is a boutique consultancy for rights holders and brands. It's for rights holders, international rights holders who want to try to uh, get brands to sponsor and support them from this part of the world. And I have a wide network of brands that I reach out to when international rights holders come to me. And I also help those rights holders maneuver this market and the GCC in the Middle East. I've been here long enough now. I know how to deal with the culture. I know how to
Yeah,
approach
that's imperative. It's also the cultural differences, right?
a lot of people, and it's amazing. Some North Americans or Europeans, they don't understand the cultural differences. I've been here 27 years now.
Mm.
I've learned about the culture, and by the way, the culture is an amazing culture. The people here are wonderful. The hospitality of the people living here, the warmthness, the openness, the honesty. I love the culture here, and I get to tell people about that and explain that to them. When unfortunately, where we live in this part of the world, people in North America see the news and the media, and sometimes it's not always on a positive light, and
Yes.
and that's a shame, um, because one troubled area doesn't mean the entire GCC or Middle East is having problems. So
Yes.
what we try to do at Bearfish is just maneuver those tricky waters for international people, international companies, rights holders, brands who want to do more work in this region. And then I do the flip side. I take brands from this part of the world and introduce them to North American rights holders as well, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, basketball. So NBA, I've got all these contacts, and I'm helping both sides. So really, a
That's
consult.
amazing. Well, that gives you a serious advantage.
Thank you. It's going okay, and for me, it's just important to, as I said, treat my clients with respect and honesty,
Yes,
and really help them maneuver both sides of the world. And I've got pretty good contacts that allow me to do that.
that's amazing. So, what would you say have been some of your biggest lessons within your career? And you probably had multiple, but is there anything that really stands out for you in terms of that?
Gosh, I think we kind of, when we first sort of met, I had written a post maybe a month or two ago,
Yes.
um, about what our one of my bosses, our chairman, Sir Maurice Flanagan, and I was young and dumb and silly at a young age at Emirates. And I remember somebody had written to me, and I wasn't answering their emails, and they were persistent and persistent and persistent. And I kind of was like, I wrote back saying, I'm too busy to deal with this right now. And of course, they knew Sir Maurice Flanagan, and back in the day, they went straight to him. And then he called me in the office and took my head off me, rightly so. And he basically said, "Look, if somebody's taking the time to write to Emirates Airline, you owe it to them to respond to them."
Yes.
And and as a young professional, that's stuck with me until today. And
Mm.
it's about respect. And I feel, to your point earlier about leaders, not everybody's responding to emails, and not everybody's
No, it's a big
messages.
problem.
Well, it's frustrating because if I'm reaching out to you as a one business professional to another business professional, have the courtesy to say thank you for writing to me, Roger, but no thank you. And that's totally cool and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's all people want who are selling. And I realized that over the years, when you can imagine in my role at Emirates, I used to get hit up with proposals. I mean, thousands of proposals. Now, I made sure that myself or my team or we had a system. that we would respond and just say thank you, but no thank you this time. And we did that 99% of the time. I mean,
Yes.
we said no a lot, and we said no politely and respectfully, but you have to respond to those people. In today's world, they're not doing this. I don't know
No.
if those kids today, if I can say that, but it's frustrating because the brands are not doing that. And any of the brands I'm speaking with, I'm always telling them you have to have respect. Like it's the most important thing. And in this part of the world where I'm sitting in Dubai, respect is very, very important for professionalism.
Oh, big
And
time, especially from a cultural perspective as well.
Absolutely, Karen. It really is. And that's one lesson that Sir Maurice Flanagan taught me in, the year 2000 or whenever it was. And I got a good telling off because of it. And you learn as a young person. And I did. And I tell my team today, like, you've got to have respect for people. Do not be arrogant. You can't be arrogant no matter who you are. Have respect, be honest, and you'll be successful. And that's how I run my business.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And it's so important. So, with that being said, what would you say your well, what stands out again for you as your top career highlight? If and I'm sure again you've had multiple, but is there something specific that stands out to you?
I mean, there's a few in terms of sponsorship deals that we negotiated that were kind of fun and exciting. And I'll tell you one. It's when I was heading over to Toronto, which is where I'm from, right? So yeah, I was in Dubai. My airline, Emirates, was launching services to Toronto, so I was very excited. So we wanted to go over there and look at sponsorship opportunities, and that's sort of how we did things. We'd fly over to the destinations ahead of time and get a sense of the market and determine if we needed a sponsorship or not. Because not every market needs a sponsorship, but
No,
as I said,
exactly.
it's a holistic communications tool to tell a story. And we were looking at whether Toronto needed a sponsorship or not. And as a Canadian, we love our ice hockey. And my
Yes.
home is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The
So
Maple Leaf, yeah.
people were saying, well, you go back home, you're just going to sponsor the Maple Leafs, right? Well, the reality is it wasn't a good fit for Emirates. We couldn't do that anyway because they played in the Air Canada Centre, so that was never going to happen. When you're looking at sponsorships, you have to realize that I am not the audience. We got to figure out who our passengers and who our audience is. So I was invited to go to the Rogers Cup, which is a communications company, which happens to be the same name as me, a
Yes.
big Canadian company, and they sponsored this wonderful event called the Rogers Cup. It was an ATP 1000 event. So I went to it and I thought, this is for us. So we negotiated the deal, and we got involved with the Rogers Cup. And the reason that was so important is because that then led into our partnership with the USTA in America. So the next year we wanted to do more in America because we were launching our American services to New York, and we sponsored the Emirates Airline US Open Series, and that was 8 events in America in the
That's
summer.
phenomenal. Wow.
And then that led up into the US Open tennis itself. And then now Emirates sponsors the French Open, the Australian Open, the
Yeah,
ATP
it's everywhere.
tennis. And that really started from the Rogers Cup back in my hometown, whenever it was 15, 17 years ago. So that was a wonderful partnership that had a personal effect on me because it was my hometown. And it was fun to go back to my hometown and talk about how beautiful and wonderful not only the UAE and Dubai is, but my company that I'm working for. And then that was a springboard into the Emirates Airline tennis platform around the world. So I was quite proud of that one. So I mean, there was
Amazing.
a lot of highlights, but in terms of sponsorship and platforms, Rogers Cup was probably for what it represented was one of my highlights.
So, Bearfish Marketing, as a consulting firm, offers so much, including an apparel division. So, you're specializing in many areas. So, can you tell us more about this? And what do you believe um, you do better or gives you an advantage within your own industry or competitive edge?
I'd love to talk about my apparel for a moment. I mean, I traveled the world with Emirates and I played a lot of golf, and golf is a passion of mine. And I always found there wasn't enough good golf caps and the colors, and I like wearing bright colors,
Yes.
and I thought there was no way to transport the caps too. So I'd get a cap and I put it in my golf bag and it'd get crushed and the quality wasn't good. So when I started Bearfish Sports Marketing, I opened up a division called Bearfish Sports Apparel, and I created my own golf caps. And I have bright pinks and neons and kind of the 1980s colors. which I just love being colorful on the golf course just because it's fun. And each cap comes with its own travel case so that it's not squished if you're traveling around the world. And then we led into paddle apparel because paddle tennis is getting big around the
Yeah, it's
world.
huge,
So
huge.
we've got paddle caps now. We've got performance t-shirts for paddle and other sports. So that's something that was just a passion of mine that's really taken off, and I love that. As far as Bearfish Sports Marketing, my clients are from all over the world. As I said, we're based in Dubai, boutique sports marketing consultancy that helps brands, international brands, figure out the waters in Dubai, and then brands from here that really want to talk to rights holders throughout the world. And that's kind of where well, I guess we differentiate ourselves because to my point earlier, when they hire Bearfish, they're hiring me, they're hiring Roger Duthie.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, you are the IP.
Whether that's good, bad, or ugly, I don't know. But the reality is, I'm not going to pass the client off to junior team. It's me because it's my business. I want to roll my sleeves up, and I'm okay to do that and really get into the weeds with a client because I love doing that and I love working with good people.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're also deeply passionate about uh as a community leader serving over 19 years as the president of the Dubai Little League, so more internationally and back in Canada. So can you share with us more about that? Because obviously you're passionate about giving back too. So if you can give
Yes,
us some
I,
insight.
I, I've been involved in Dubai Little League now for 20 years. I started out as a coach when my son was 3 years old. I'm a big baseball fan. I played baseball over the world, and I came to Dubai. I was so happy to see that we had a baseball community here, um, and I got involved. I volunteered, and then over the years, I just kind of got more involved as a coach, and then administrator, and then eventually I got elected to be the president, and I still maintain that role even though my son left 4 years ago. And it's giving back to the community because the community gave so much to my family and I. My son now plays. He got a baseball scholarship. He plays in Canada. He plays for Team GB, Team Great Britain, as they try to qualify for the Olympics. They're playing in the World Baseball Classic next year. He played in the U23 World Cup, and that was because of baseball in Dubai and what really baseball gave to my family. So I thought, well, even though he's gone, I still want to
Yeah,
be
you still
involved.
want to continue.
I do, and I help them raise money for sponsorships, or raise money through sponsorships, I should say. We're the most expensive baseball organization, little league organization to run in the world, but Dubai Little League is because we're in the desert and we play in lights and we have a lot of water bills. I'm always knocking on doors, begging and borrowing and trying to get some funding. We don't get any government funding, but we get private funding, which I'm very grateful for, and I'll continue to do that for the Little League. And we've had the beauty of what we do through Dubai Little League is we've had maybe over 20 or 21 children in our league who progressed to the next level of baseball in America or national teams. So we've had about 4 kids play on their national teams, which is amazing, including Oliver, my son, but Sean
That's
Fekete.
amazing, Roger. Wow.
It's so fun. Like it's crazy to watch my son on TV playing for Team GB. But there's also a young man named Sean Fekete who's playing professional baseball now in Germany. He played for Team Hungary, but he's a professional baseball player. Gabri Rek is playing for Team Spain. I mean, so to have these kids play for their national countries it is an incredible thing and watch them develop and progress because of Dubai Little League. So something I'm very passionate about, something I'm very proud about. With the thriving men's league, which I'm still involved with and I still play. And then we had our first UAE national team play in the Arab Cup last year and come second. So
Gee,
baseball's thriving and growing in Dubai. It's a very exciting time for baseball in Dubai.
that's fantastic. So, leading to the next question, what are the three key pieces of advice you would give to other entrepreneurs or those looking to get into similar careers? And what legacy would you like to leave, or how would you like to be remembered?
Wow, I love these questions, Karen. They're very thought provoking. I mean, in terms of entrepreneurship, it's tough, but you have to commit, and it's expensive. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, it's very people don't realize it. Starting an apparel business, for example, I hadn't realized that every cap I produce as a sample is from 50 to $70
Mm,
each, right? And I've got hundreds of them. And I'm like, holy mackerel, I'm spending a lot of money just on the samples. And the logo might be crooked or the hat might be wrong. Or so, I went through 51 suppliers before I actually found the supplier that I wanted that was comfortable with my brand. So I was
yes,
very attention to detail is very important to me. So I guess the advice is try to know what you're getting yourself into, have a good business plan, have a good strategy. It's expensive, so know where the money's coming from. Don't just do it for 1 year. You got to commit to at least a 5 year plan,
a
and
hundred
then
percent. Yeah.
something that you got to look for the future because you're going to have ups and downs. And then the other thing, as we alluded to earlier, is make sure you have a routine, and whether that's working out or going to the coffee shop and planning things, but get out of bed, go find your routine, whatever that's good for you. No daytime TV, which is very important.
Yes.
Uh, and and be open and honest not only with your clients but with yourself. I think these are important pieces of advice because these are things I've learned throughout the years, and I didn't really have anyone guiding me. My legacy, you know what? Probably most important legacy is having raised good, solid children and good
Yes.
citizens. That to me is the most important thing. The business stuff will take care of itself if you have a good home life and you have raised your children in the right way. And luckily, my kids are on the right roadmap, and that's what I'm giving them. To me, that's the most important legacy. And then the name of the company is named after them. So hopefully long after I'm gone, the Bearfish brand will continue, and that will be my legacy through my children.
Well, thank you so much, Roger. That was amazing. And hopefully we can have you back in the future. So if people would like to connect with you, what are the best platforms to do so?
We're on all the social platforms. We have our website. I can give you an email. I'm happy to give my email address out. It's a long email, unfortunately, so it's probably better to go on our website and find our info at bearfishsportsmarketing.com. But my address is roger.duthie at bearfishsportsmarketing.com. One word, long.
Amazing.
It's worth it.
Thank you so much. And would love to have you back in the future.
I'm happy to come back, Ken. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.